Silver Screen Cynics. This is Jared and Michael.
Hello.
Hello. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about jumping the shark or nuking the fridge, whichever you prefer. And we'll be discussing where exactly that phrase came from, or phrases. And we're going to list our top 5 favorite nuking the fridge moments in film.
Yes.
So, Michael,
Yes,
why don't
indeed.
you go ahead and give us a little rundown of how Jump the Shark first came to be?
All right. Late in the seasons of Happy Days, they had an episode where Fonzie was water skiing and there was a shark out there and he went over a jump or something like that and literally jumped the shark. Everybody thought it was very ridiculous, and it's Happy Days. It's since then that they say that ever since that moment, the show just totally got crappy and went all downhill from there.
So basically, jumping a shark means that a show has outlived its usefulness and is no longer a valid form of entertainment. So it's,
Pretty much.
And the film equivalent is now being referred to as nuking the fridge, and we'll get into where that phrase comes from in our list. With a TV show, it's easier because you can see the gradual decline in ratings, and you have a definitive moment where the show became just ridiculous. In film, it's harder because you don't have like a long-running series that has generated a whole lot of interest that can die off. But some movies have certain moments that you just cannot forget that are just so ridiculous that it ruins the rest of the movie for you. And that's considered nuking the fridge.
Yes. And another thing about the shark and the nuking the fridge thing, it's funny that we don't call it punching the shark, because the 60s Batman, the whole helicopter scene, man. Why did that not make our worst superhero movies of all time? That was definitely...
We talked about it.
Oh, yeah. The whole helicopter scene where they're being lowered down to the ship from the back. And all of a sudden, the shark grabs the ladder, and Batman is kicking and punching it, and then Robin throws the infamous shark repellent down to him, which Batman has shark repellent, which he came prepared.
It's basically don't use sharks in your films.
Yes.
And you can say like Jaws 3D, jump the shark. I mean, just any kind of crappy shark movie is going to jump the shark. And interestingly enough, for all of you Arrested Development fans out there, as you know, Henry Winkler is a regular on the show, or was a regular on the show. It's canceled. But in one episode, if you watch carefully, he actually literally jumps over the shark again. It is very funny, and I caught it maybe the second time watching the episode. I believe it's the episode where Buster gets his arm bitten off by the seal.
Well, look out for a loose seal.
And I just remember they were on the docks, and there was a dead shark. Oh, it was the shark that ate the seal that ate Buster's hand, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And anyways, Henry Winkler arrives on the scene to see what's going on, and then it just pans down for like 1 second, and then he just hops over the shark to get to them. And
I'm gonna definitely have to go back and watch.
It's like the best Easter egg ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was just so clever. I mean, there's so many random things like that in Arrested Development, and that's why Arrested Development is one of the best shows ever.
Yes.
But back on jumping the shark, we're going to go ahead and get into our list of like the worst moments in films that really just destroyed the rest of the films.
Which is interesting about this list. Jared and I both have different points in the same movie where we were like, all right, yeah, this sucks. Tuning out. We almost have different nuking the fridge moments, which will reveal each part that we think they nuked the fridge.
Yes. So at number 5, I mean, the whole concept of this film was a fridge nuke at the beginning, but there's just specific moments in our heads that really just nuke the fridge, and it's the whole Transformers franchise.
Yes.
We both have different opinions. I mean, there's so many fridge nuking moments. It's just like fridge nuke after fridge nuke consistently gets worse and worse as you watch.
Yes.
So what's the moment that really nuked the fridge for you, Mike?
Oh, the moment that nuked the fridge for me in Star Wars. That
Where did Star Wars come from?
Yeah, that That's another episode.
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm on my bed, Jared. I nuked the fridge on our episode by saying Star Wars.
So what was the moment of Transformers?
All right, the moment in Transformers that nuked the fridge for me was in the beginning when they introduced Bumblebee, and then they turned Bumblebee from a yellow Volkswagen Bug. And they're like, oh, those are so lame. We don't want a Volkswagen Bug in there. Let's turn them into the newest yellow Camaro. So they turned them into a brand new product placed yellow Chevy Camaro, and I thought that was such an incredible cop-out. Very well done, Michael Bay. Would not expect anything less from you.
Yes.
Like, tuned out.
That just reminds me so much of my first viewing of Transformers, and there's several fridge nukes in there for me. Like, the product placement in that movie was so ridiculous and over the top. Like, I remember specifically towards the end when all these random things started turning into robots. I believe they had a Mountain Dew machine turn into a robot. You're like, what the crap is going on? And literally, a guy walking down the sidewalks holding an Xbox 360 box, and that turns into a robot. Who honestly walks down the street with an Xbox 360 box? I mean, if anything, they'll have it in a bag, but this guy's walking like downtown, like just holding the box like, hello.
Yeah, product placement in Michael Bay movies is so ridiculous. I remember seeing the craptastic movie The Island, and it takes place in the future, and every single car in that movie was a Honda Element and like a PT Cruiser. This is the wave of the future.
Speaking of Michael Bay, let's just get this out in the air real quick. He's making a new Ninja Turtles movie. I believe he's producing. He's not directing. And it was just released that he is making the Ninja Turtles aliens.
You have to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. He said that it's no longer the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's the Teenage Alien Ninja Turtles. They're coming from an alien planet. And so, of course, there's a huge fan backlash. Everyone's just like, are you serious? Why? And his response, I think he tweeted or put it on his website, his response was, all you fans need to chill out. You haven't read the script yet. I was like...
He is so about making money and stuff, I'm sure he'll probably adjust it. I
don't know, man.
I don't know. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. That's the worst thing I've heard.
He's very arrogant. He doesn't care. He thinks that since he has made so much money, he knows best.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like the most dangerous director for your beloved franchises.
Yes.
So, anyways, now that the air is cleared, that just frustrates me to no end.
Oh.
So my nuke the fridge moment in Transformers, it's so hard to find one, but this one in particular just stood out for me. It is the fact that in Transformers 2, the giant robot villain that's like sucking up all the sand and stuff, it has testicles. Which...
That's horrible.
I mean, there's like a scene where John Turturro's underneath, and he's like trying to give his position. He's like, I am directly beneath. And he looks up, and then there's these two dangling, just giant balls. And he's like, I'm directly beneath robot scrotum or something like that. And you're like, oh my goodness. Could this... Those movies are so stupid because they don't cater to anybody. There's no target audience because it's too stupid for adults to like, and its humor is so crude that kids can't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's too crass. Like, they're like, Daddy, what are testicles? What's a scrotum? Like, oh gosh, thanks to freaking lot Transformers.
And then they throw like a half-naked girl throughout the movie, and so the dad's covering the eyes and ears of his children, and meanwhile the dad's like, oh, this is so lame. Anyways, we're not going to go into that because that's the whole episode.
Yeah, we should have just a full Michael Bay sucks episode.
Yes, that would be like a 10-hour episode.
Yeah.
Number 4 is in The Matrix Reloaded.
Reloaded.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh man, I was so excited about this movie. The first one was so amazing, and the movie started off meh, okay, and then it finally shows the city, the underground city that they're
Was it
talking
Zion?
about. Yeah, Zion, and Morpheus is making a huge speech, and they're celebrating, and it's like, let's celebrate, and they're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, bound on and it's like slow-mo, and everybody's jumping all weird in the air, and people start grinding on each other, and wait, what?
And then 10 minutes later, it's still going.
Yes. You're like, whoa, is it called Zion? Because I swear this is Sodom. Kind of sets the mood for disappointment in the air.
Yes. Everybody in the theater, when I saw it, was just like, okay, get on with it.
Yeah.
It seemed to never end. It was just like a really bad music video without good music. And
Yeah.
that was so disappointing. And I have a different Fridge Nuke moment, and that is towards the end. The whole architect sequence. So much stupid philosophy bullcrap throughout the movie. And this was just like the pinnacle of it. It was just so long and long-winded, and they're just throwing so much philosophy at us. It was so boring, and it just ruined it. The whole movie was ruined by then, but that was just stood out in my mind as just like, okay.
Reloaded kind of set the pace to ruin the third movie, and the third movie just kind of fizzled out in the end.
Yeah.
The whole Matrix Reloaded just jumped the shark. I'm sorry. Nuke the fridge. Several places. It's just like...
Yes. All right, at number 3, we've got Jurassic Park 2.
Yes. The Lost World.
The Lost World. Okay, what was the Fridge Nuke moment for you on Jurassic Park 2?
Towards the end, when they boxed up T-Rex and brought him home, and he all of a sudden turned into Godzilla and was running around suburbia. That was ridiculous.
And there was actually a Godzilla reference in there when they had the Asians running away and like screaming like, ah!
Yeah, it was like, what? First of all, the original Jurassic Park, the book was award-winning, and...
At the end of the first book, didn't Velociraptors get on the boat? It's been so long since I've read it. Anyways.
I think maybe, but they were really good. They had a lot more detail, and apparently even the first movie took a lot of departure and a lot of...
Yes, like John Hammond not dying at the end.
Yeah, like there was definitely it took a lot of liberties, like there were no pterodactyls in the first movie when they were in the book. But really, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. The movie still stood alone as really, really good, but they continued that same format of disregarding the book, The Lost World. But that whole scene in the end was clearly not even close to being in the book at all. I mean, that just kind of ruined the whole franchise for me, honestly. I mean, how can a movie make a 7-year-old so cynical? Or I was like 7, or I don't know how old I was. I was young, but...
And I read The Lost World, and I believe it was the first book that Michael Crichton ever wrote that he knew was going to be made into a film. So he wrote the book specifically to be adapted into film.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, and Spielberg seriously just wiped his butthole with it. It was the worst adaptation ever. He changed that book. The book was amazing. I mean,
yeah.
At points, I thought it was better than the first book. It had like the camouflage dinosaurs, which were really crazy, because that led to a lot of suspense. You have like these dinosaurs that are pretty much invisible because they can camouflage their skin, and that was the main dinosaur in the Lost World book. He got rid of the little black kid in the book, and they just gave some of his dialogue and some of the scenes that he was in to the little black girl instead, and it was just lame. But it was so disappointing because Jurassic Park is still my favorite movie of all time because of the achievement in computer graphics, and it still, is very watchable for the special effects, which is amazing since it was the first major film to incorporate the computer graphics.
It's Jurassic Park's fault that we have Transformers.
For me, my Nuke the Fridge moment in Jurassic Park would have to be, or Jurassic Park 2, would have to be when the little black girl defeated a velociraptor with gymnastics.
Oh man.
Just briefly, they were basically in it's kind of like a tool shed type of deal, and they're climbing up this tool shed. It's like a 3-story tool shed or something. And the velociraptors are jumping all over the place trying to get in, and the velociraptor's climbing up and getting to them. So the little black girl jumps on a strategically placed pole that just happens to run through the middle of the room. And so she starts spinning around this pole, and it just keeps spinning, and then the velociraptor jumps at her, and then she kicks him in the face, knocks him through the wall or something. I was just, no. These are the same creatures that fought a good fight against the T-Rex. They tore the T-Rex up, but the T-Rex ultimately won. And this little girl can take one out with gymnastics. Okay, moving along. We've got number 2. Now, let me just say the movie real quick because this is going to get interesting. The movie is Ocean's 12.
Oh my gosh.
Ocean's 12.
Right.
Okay.
We both have the exact same nuke the fridge moment.
Yeah, this is another one of those moments that will determine if you will be my friend or not. If you have seen this movie and thought this moment was cool or quirky in a good way or cute, I don't think I can be friends with you.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's try to set this up real quick. So Julia Roberts plays a character in the movie. She plays the ex-wife of George Clooney, right?
Right.
Right. So anyways, they keep alluding to her looking like someone throughout the second movie. Like, oh yeah, this could work. Oh, yeah, you look like her.
And she's like, don't say it. No, I don't want to hear it.
You know, they try to build this mystery. Julia, or her character looks just like someone. So, yeah, Michael, please tell us who exactly Julia Roberts' character looks like in the film.
All right. Julia Roberts' character in the movie looks like none other than Julia Roberts.
What?
What? Huh? What? How does this work?
I mean, this is like some mind freak right here. This is blowing my mind. What's going on?
So pretty much, Julia Roberts' character is some woman that looks identical to Julia Roberts. This is fiction. You know, an actor plays a character, and of course, usually that actor, their real off-camera person, ceased to exist. It just doesn't work. They don't talk about it.
Some movies can fit it in if it makes logical sense to the storyline.
Yeah.
But in this case, you have the same actor playing herself and a character.
First of all, you got to take the movie into context that it is a bunch of friends, a bunch of really famous people that just love each other. I mean, you have Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Julia Roberts and Matt Damon. They're like, hey, what if we make the second movie in Europe and just vacation half the time?
This is during their mandatory orgy.
Yeah.
And then Julia Roberts comes. Julia Roberts says, why don't I play 2 characters this time?
Oh, yeah, okay. Great idea. Oh, my.
Casey Affleck, stop sucking my toes.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, woo. Well, bring it back. It's so egocentric that they would write that in. And it's so lame. And it's so like, oh, that's hilarious because that person is me. You know?
If you don't have any reasons to hate Hollywood, we've just given you one.
Yes. If you don't hate Hollywood, see Ocean's 12. Then you'll hate Hollywood. Ocean's 13 was a little better.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to go further downhill than the second one.
Number 1, Julia Roberts was not in it. Thank the Lord. Second of all, it took it back to actually like casino heist.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. There wasn't a fridge nuke in it.
Yeah. Anyway,
speaking of nuking the fridge,
yes,
our number 1. You have to put this on the top of the list because this one gave us the phrase "nuke the fridge." Okay, the movie is Indiana Jones 4. Was it The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? I believe is the subtitle.
Yes.
Now, the whole film was just a letdown for everybody. For one thing, Harrison Ford is pretending to be Harrison Ford, and he doesn't. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Also, had Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, Shia LaBeouf has the distinct ability to ruin any film he's in, I would say.
It's a talent, really.
It is. Arguably the worst actor of his generation.
He's a young Nick Cage. He really is.
I agree. Okay. This moment is just bizarre that anyone could possibly... I mean, this is Indiana Jones. You know, it's a little bit fantastical at times. The second film was the worst up until this point.
There's a pattern here. The good Indiana Jones movies are based around actual artifacts, you know, or biblical artifacts, while the lame ones are some ridiculousness. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
So there's not an actual crystal skull in real life? What?
No,
what?
It's crystal skulls and.
So yeah, the crystal skull is the skull of an alien.
Yes.
An alien in Indiana Jones.
That's my big thing about the movie, apart from the actual phrase, which would you like to explain?
Sure. Okay. Basically, he's in this fake town, right? He's in a little fake nuclear test town.
Yeah, it's
where
like Area 51.
Yeah, where they test out nukes. And so he's walking around this town, and a nuke is about to go off. So he's running through this house trying to find out, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm going to be about to be blown up in a nuclear explosion. What do I do? Oh, here's a refrigerator. And it's got a lead-based lining. Perfect. That means I will survive. And he's at ground zero. He hides inside of a fridge, and the nuke goes off, sending the fridge miles away. Flying through the air, it bounces and slides across the ground, miles from ground zero, where he's blown from. And he rolls outside of the fridge and just shakes his head like, whoo, whoo. And that's it. He's fine. He walks away from a nuke because of the fridge. And that is where we get the phrase, nuke the fridge.
Yes, and that's a good example of the whole nuking the fridge, because from that point on of the movie was ridiculous.
Yeah. You can't recover from that. I read somewhere that it was actually Spielberg's idea to do that.
Yeah.
That's a shame. He's very hit or miss these days.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that's our Nuke the Fridge, Jump the Shark episode. I hope you got a lot of information out of that, because it is a very fun topic to talk about, especially with TV shows. To start thinking about times when TV shows you like just became ridiculous, and you'll probably come up with a lot of ideas. It's pretty cool. So thanks for listening. Hope you all have a good week, and we'll see you back next week with our Hunger Games special.
Yeah!
Featuring, hopefully, a guest host, which will be really fun.
Yes.
See y'all later.